The silent protector. The distress signal, the emergency klaxon, screamed through Terra Defense Station as Commander Elena Vasquez rushed toward the communications center. Red warning lights painted the metal corridors in an ominous glow. 3 mining colonies had gone silent in the past hour, and now the 4th distress signal was coming through, broken and desperate. "Commander, we're receiving transmission from Kepler Station," Sergeant Torres called out, his voice tense with worry. The young communications officer had been with the Defense Force for only 6 months, but he had never seen anything like this. Elena grabbed the headset and listened to the crackling voice from space. "This is Kepler Station. Under attack. Unknown vessels. They came from nowhere. Please send help." The transmission dissolved into static, then nothing. Elena stared at the star map showing human settlements scattered across 3 solar systems. Each red dot represented a colony that had stopped responding. The pattern was clear and terrifying. Someone was systematically attacking human outposts, moving closer to Earth with each strike. How many people lived on those colonies? Elena asked, though she dreaded the answer. Kepler had 8,000 residents. Meridian Complex housed 12,000. Carson Mining Station had 3,500 workers and their families. Torres replied, consulting his database. "Commander, that's over 23,000 people in just 4 hours." Elena had been protecting human space for 15 years, ever since graduating from the Solar Defense Academy. She had seen pirates, smugglers, and the occasional territorial dispute with alien traders. But this was different. This was organized, massive, and completely unexpected. The unknown enemy. "Commander, we're getting reports from our scout ships," announced Lieutenant Sarah Chen, rushing into the command center with a datapad. "They've identified the attackers. It's the Zephyrian Empire." Elena felt her blood run cold. The Zephyrians were one of the most powerful military forces in the known galaxy. Their empire spanned 40 star systems, and their warships were legendary for their advanced technology and ruthless efficiency. Humanity had maintained peaceful relations with them for decades, trading resources and sharing scientific discoveries. "That makes no sense," Elena said, studying the preliminary reports. "Why would the Zephyrians attack us? We've had peace treaties with them for 30 years. Chen shook her head grimly. "According to our intelligence, there's been a power shift in their government. A military faction called the Iron Talon has taken control. They believe that younger species like humanity are becoming too technologically advanced too quickly. They want to eliminate potential threats before we become too powerful." Elena looked at the tactical display showing Earth's defensive capabilities. The Solar Defense Force had 127 ships, mostly frigates, destroyers, and a handful of cruisers. The largest vessel in their fleet was the battleship Wellington, which was considered outdated by galactic standards. Against the Zephyrian Empire's estimated 3,000 warships, humanity's chances looked impossibly slim. "How long before they reach the inner colonies?" Elena asked. "At their current pace, maybe 72 hours, Chen replied. "Earth Command is evacuating non-essential personnel from the outer settlements, but there's nowhere to run. If the Zephyrians want to destroy human space, we don't have the firepower to stop them." The mysterious signal. As Elena studied the incoming reports, her console began beeping with an unusual pattern. The signal was coming from the Ceres sector, near the old Titan shipyard that had been abandoned 15 years earlier. The energy readings were unlike anything in their database. "Sergeant Torres, are you seeing this?" Elena called out, pointing to the strange data on her screen. Torres ran a full spectrum analysis and frowned. "Commander, those energy signatures are off the charts. Whatever's out there is generating power levels equivalent to a small star. But that's impossible. The Titan shipyard has been empty for over a decade." Elena remembered the Titan shipyard from her academy studies. It had been humanity's most ambitious construction project, designed to build massive vessels for deep space exploration. But the project had been mysteriously canceled, and the facility had been officially decommissioned. No one talked about why it had been shut down so suddenly. "I'm detecting movement in that sector," Torres announced, his voice filled with confusion. "Commander, something big is happening at Ceres. The asteroid's internal structure is changing." Before Elena could respond, her personal communication device chimed with a priority message. The caller ID showed a name she hadn't seen in years. Dr. Marcus Webb, her former instructor at the Solar Defense Academy. Marcus had disappeared from public life 10 years ago, supposedly to work on classified research projects. "Elena, I know you're dealing with the Zephyrian situation," Marcus said without preamble. "I need you to come to coordinates 847.23119 immediately. Come alone and tell no one where you're going. Humanity's survival depends on it." Elena stared at the coordinates. They were deep in the Ceres sector, exactly where the strange energy readings were coming from. The hidden truth. 2 hours later, Elena's personal shuttle approached the coordinates Marcus had provided. What she saw defied all logic and understanding. The massive asteroid Ceres, which had been solid rock for millions of years, was slowly opening like a giant mechanical flower. Inside the hollow interior, something enormous was beginning to emerge. "My God," Elena whispered, staring through her shuttle's viewport at the impossible sight. Her communication system crackled to life. "Elena, dock at Bay 7. You're about to learn something that will change everything you thought you knew about human capabilities." Elena guided her shuttle into a landing bay that definitely hadn't existed the last time anyone had surveyed Ceres. The facility was massive, with technology that looked decades ahead of anything she had seen. Automated systems guided her shuttle to a landing platform, and she found herself standing in a hangar that could have held 50 ships her size. Dr. Marcus Webb was waiting for her, but he looked older than she remembered. His hair had gone completely gray, and his eyes held the weight of carrying enormous secrets. Beside him stood a woman in a military uniform Elena didn't recognize, with insignia that weren't part of any official human defense force. "Elena, I want you to meet Colonel Rebecca Stone," Marcus said. "She's been the project commander for the past 15 years. "What project?" Elena asked, though she was beginning to suspect the answer would be beyond anything she could imagine. Colonel Stone gestured toward a massive viewing window that looked out into the asteroid's interior. "Project Sentinel. For the past 25 years, humanity's best engineers, scientists, and military strategists have been building something the galaxy has never seen before." Elena looked through the window and felt her knees go weak. Suspended in the center of the hollowed asteroid was a starship so large it seemed to bend the laws of physics. The vessel was over 20 kilometers long, bristling with weapon systems and defensive arrays that pulsed with energy. Thousands of smaller ships were docked along its hull, and construction crews were making final preparations for what looked like an imminent launch. "Allow me to introduce you to the U.S. Prometheus," Marcus said quietly. "The most advanced warship ever constructed by any known species." The Prometheus awakens. Elena struggled to process what she was seeing. How is this possible? How could you build something this massive in secret? Colonel Stone activated a holographic display that showed the construction timeline. 25 years ago, when humanity first made contact with advanced alien civilizations, some very smart people realized we were at a severe disadvantage. While everyone else was focused on trade agreements and cultural exchanges, a small group began planning for the possibility that not all alien species would remain friendly. The hologram showed the early stages of the project: mining operations that created the hollow interior of Ceres, the recruitment of the galaxy's best human engineers, and the acquisition of advanced technologies through careful diplomacy and strategic alliances. "We've incorporated defensive systems from the Altarian Federation, weapon technologies shared by the Centauri Republic, and power generation methods that we developed by studying captured pirate vessels," Marcus explained. "Every breakthrough in human technology for the past 2 decades has been integrated into this ship." Elena studied the technical specifications scrolling across the display. The numbers were staggering. The Prometheus carried 2,000 advanced fighter craft, each equipped with adaptive AI systems. Its main weapons could crack the surface of planets, while its defensive shields could withstand direct hits from weapons that didn't officially exist. The crew? Elena asked. 50,000 of humanity's finest, Colonel Stone replied. They've been training in secret facilities throughout the solar system, preparing for the day when their true mission would be revealed. Today is that day. As if responding to her words, the massive ship began to glow with internal power. Systems that had been dormant for months came online one by one. The Prometheus was waking up, and Elena could feel the vibration of its massive engines beginning their startup sequence. There's something else you need to know, Marcus said solemnly. Your father didn't die in a mining accident 15 years ago. Commander Diego Vasquez was one of the original planners of Project Sentinel. He gave his life protecting this secret when Zephyrian spies tried to infiltrate the project. Elena felt the world shift around her. Her father had been her hero, a simple mining engineer who had died in what everyone believed was an industrial accident. Now she was learning that he had been part of the most important military project in human history. He made us promise to tell you the truth when the time came, Colonel Stone added gently. He believed that one day you would be the one to lead humanity into its next era. The asteroid around them shuddered as the U.S. Prometheus prepared for its first emergence into open space. After 15 years of secret construction and preparation, humanity's hidden guardian was about to reveal itself to the galaxy. When Titans rise, the emergence, the moment the U.S. Prometheus cleared the asteroid's shell, every sensor array in the solar system went silent with shock. The massive vessel seemed to bend space around itself as it moved, its hull reflecting starlight in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Elena stood on the bridge, still trying to process that she was now the ship's commanding officer. HFY Online announced a smooth artificial voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. All systems operational. Good morning, Commander Vasquez. I have been waiting to meet you. HFY was the ship's artificial intelligence, more advanced than any computer system Elena had ever encountered. The AI had been learning and evolving during the 15 years of construction, studying every aspect of galactic warfare and diplomatic strategy. HFY, what's our current tactical situation? Elena asked, settling into the captain's chair that felt both foreign and strangely familiar. Zephyrian Imperial Fleet detected at coordinates 445.67223, approximately 6.7 light hours from Earth. HFY responded. Fleet composition: 347 warships including 12 dreadnoughts, 45 heavy cruisers, 78 destroyers, and 212 support vessels. Estimated crew: 890,000 Zephyrian military personnel. Elena felt her breath catch. The enemy fleet was even larger than Earth Command's worst estimates. Against such overwhelming numbers, even the mighty Prometheus seemed impossibly outnumbered. Commander, called out Lieutenant Jackson Park, the ship's tactical officer. We're receiving a transmission from the Lid Zephyrian vessel. The main screen activated, showing the bridge of a Zephyrian command ship. The alien speaking was tall and reptilian, with scales that shifted color based on emotional state. Currently, those scales showed the deep purple of absolute confidence. I am Admiral Zexhai of the Iron Talon faction, the alien announced. You will identify yourself and explain why a human vessel of this size was constructed in secret. The Galactic Accords specifically prohibit the development of strategic weapons without council oversight. Elena stood and faced the screen, drawing on every lesson her father had taught her about standing up to bullies. I am Commander Elena Vasquez of the U.S. Prometheus. We built this ship to protect human colonies from exactly the kind of unprovoked attacks you've been launching. Admiral Zexhay's scales shifted to an angry orange. Your species has grown too quickly, developed too advanced technology in too short a time. The Iron Talon has determined that humanity poses a future threat to galactic stability. We are here to eliminate that threat permanently." "Then you've made a serious mistake," Alina replied calmly. "Araya, show them what they're really facing." The display of power. At Alina's command, the U.S. Prometheus activated systems that had never been tested in actual combat. The ship's hull began to shift and reconfigure as adaptive armor plating adjusted to optimize for the coming battle. Weapon ports opened along the massive vessel's length, revealing armaments that pulsed with barely contained energy. "Impossible," Admiral Zexhai hissed, his scales now cycling through colors of confusion and growing concern. No single vessel could mount that level of firepower. "ARIA, tactical analysis of the enemy fleet," Alina ordered. Alina nodded. Despite everything the Zephyrians had done, she didn't want to slaughter nearly 1,000,000 enemy crew members if it could be avoided. "Admiral Zexhai, I'm going to give you one chance to withdraw peacefully. Your fleet is impressive, but you have no idea what human ingenuity can accomplish when we're fighting for our survival." The Zephyrian admiral's response was to open fire with his entire fleet. 347 alien warships unleashed their weapons simultaneously, creating a light show that could be seen from neighboring star systems. Plasma bolts, quantum torpedoes, and exotic energy beams converged on the U.S. Prometheus in a display of firepower that should have reduced any vessel to cosmic dust. Instead, the human ship's shields absorbed the attack without even flickering. The Battle of Cirrus. "Impossible," Admiral Zexhai screamed, his scales now flashing the deep red of panic. "Nothing can withstand that level of concentrated firepower." Alina remained calm as damage reports showed 0 hull breaches and shields, still at 98% capacity. "ARIA, return fire. Precision strikes only. Disable their weapons and engines but avoid critical systems." What happened next would be recorded in galactic history as the moment everything changed. The U.S. Prometheus opened fire with weapons that seemed to tear holes in space itself. Each shot was perfectly calibrated, striking exactly where ARIA had calculated to cause maximum tactical damage while minimizing casualties. Zephyrian shields, which had never failed against human weapons before, collapsed instantly. Their most advanced dreadnoughts found their weapons offline and their engines dead in space within minutes. The massive alien fleet, which had conquered dozens of worlds, was rendered completely helpless by a single human vessel. "This is not possible," Admiral Zexhai repeated, his voice hollow with disbelief. "Our intelligence reports said humanity possessed no technology capable of this level of advancement." "Your intelligence was wrong," Alina replied. "For 25 years, while you assumed we were a primitive species barely capable of space travel, our best minds were preparing for exactly this scenario. We studied your tactics, analyzed your technology, and built something specifically designed to protect human space." Throughout the battle, which lasted less than 30 minutes, the U.S. Prometheus had demonstrated capabilities that redefined what was considered possible in galactic warfare. The ship's adaptive weapons had automatically adjusted to penetrate Zephyrian defenses. Its defensive systems had absorbed attacks that could destroy planets. Most impressively, its AI had coordinated every aspect of the engagement with precision that no organic crew could match. The galactic response. Unknown to both fleets, the battle was being observed by vessels from a dozen different species. The Altarian Federation had monitoring ships throughout the sector. The Centauri Republic had been tracking the Zephyrian fleet's movements. The mysterious ethereal collective, who rarely involved themselves in galactic politics, had sent observers to witness what their ancient sensors had detected. "Are you recording this?" asked Captain Veltar of the Altarian vessel Starwing, his 4 eyes wide with amazement. "Every sensor we have is focused on that human ship," replied his science officer. "The power readings are beyond our measurement capabilities. How did they develop this technology without anyone knowing?" Similar conversations were taking place on ships throughout the sector. For decades, most galactic species had viewed humanity as a young race with potential but limited immediate importance. They were useful trading partners and had contributed some interesting innovations, but they weren't considered a major player in galactic politics. That perception changed in the 30 minutes it took the U.S. Prometheus to disable an entire Zephyrian Imperial fleet. Admiral Zexai, his command ship powerless and drifting, made one final transmission. "Commander Vasquez, the Iron Talon will not forget this humiliation. We will rebuild our fleet and return with forces you cannot imagine." Elena's response was broadcast not just to the defeated Zephyrian fleet, but to every ship in the sector, ensuring that her words would reach every corner of the galaxy within days. "Admiral, you're welcome to try. But understand that what you've seen today is just the beginning. Humanity has been preparing for threats like yours for a quarter century. The U.S. Prometheus is not our only surprise. If any species thinks they can attack human colonies without consequences, they will learn exactly how wrong they are." The new era. As the disabled Zephyrian fleet began the long journey back to their home systems, news of the battle spread throughout the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. Trade agreements were hastily reviewed. Military strategists across dozens of worlds began reassessing their understanding of human capabilities. Elena stood on the bridge of the U.S. Prometheus, looking out at the stars that suddenly seemed less distant and threatening. Her father's sacrifice had not been in vain. His dream of protecting humanity had been realized in ways he could never have imagined. "Ara, what's our status?" she asked. "All systems optimal, Commander. We have received 347 requests for meetings from various galactic governments. The Altarian Federation wishes to discuss expanding our alliance. The Centauri Republic has offered to share advanced manufacturing techniques. Even the Ethereal Collective has sent a message congratulating humanity on our impressive display of adaptive evolution." Elena smiled. For the first time in decades, humanity was being taken seriously as a galactic power. The days of being seen as a primitive species were over. "Set course for Earth," she ordered. "It's time for the galaxy to see what happens when humans decide to stop being victims and start being protectors." As the U.S. Prometheus began its journey home, its massive engines creating a wake of distorted spacetime, Elena thought about her father and all the others who had sacrificed to make this moment possible. Humanity had been underestimated for the last time. The galaxy was about to discover that when humans set their minds to something, they didn't just meet expectations, they exceeded them in ways no one thought possible. The age of human space was just beginning, and the U.S. Prometheus was leading the way into a future where humanity would never again be seen as weak or defenseless. The hidden guardian had emerged, and the stars would never be the same.